Book summary of You by Caroline Kepnes. There's something seductive about being watched. Being seen. Really seen. That's how Caroline Kepnes draws you in from the first page of 星号 You 星号, a psychological thriller that doesn't just creep under your skin. It gets inside your head and whispers secrets you didn't even know you were keeping. This book isn't just about obsession. Its 星号 is 星号 obsession, written in a voice so intimate and chilling you'll find yourself rooting for the very man who should terrify you. And that's exactly what makes 星号 You 星号 so addictive. Set in the heart of New York City, 星号 You 星号 follows Joe Goldberg, a charming yet deeply disturbed bookstore manager whose interest in a young aspiring writer named Guinevere Beck turns from casual flirtation to all-consuming fixation. Told entirely from Joe's perspective, the novel immediately places you inside his twisted mind. And that's where the magic of this book begins. You don't just read about Joe's obsession, you 星号 experience 星号 it. Every moment, every rationalization, every manipulation, it's all filtered through the voice of a man who believes that his love is pure, that his actions are justified, and that the object of his obsession actually wants him back. Beck walks into Joe's East Village bookstore one unassuming day and unknowingly lights a spark in him that quickly blazes out of control. She's witty, beautiful, and slightly broken, the perfect muse. When Joe learns her full name from the credit card she uses to buy a book, he does what any modern stalker would do: he Googles her. In minutes, he finds her Twitter, her Instagram, her Facebook. He learns about her friends, her ex-boyfriends, her favorite haunts. He begins to shape himself into the man he thinks she wants, manipulating events so they coincidentally bump into each other again. From there, the novel spirals into an intense psychological cat-and-mouse game. But what makes 星号 You 星号 so engrossing is that the cat is also the mouse. Joe is not just stalking Beck, he's convincing himself that she needs him. That he's saving her from bad relationships, toxic friendships, and from herself. He doesn't see himself as the villain. In his mind, he's the hero of this love story. The genius of Kepnes' writing lies in how seductive Joe's voice is. He's articulate, intelligent, and witty. His commentary on modern life, social media, and human behavior is often sharp and uncomfortably accurate. He mocks the digital age while using it as his weapon. He criticizes shallow friendships while inserting himself into the lives of Beck's closest allies. He dissects every text message, every social media post, interpreting hidden meanings, signs, clues, anything that might give him more access to Beck's world. As Joe burrows deeper into Beck's life, his tactics become darker and more dangerous. He hacks her email, breaks into her apartment, eavesdrops on her therapy sessions. And when obstacles get in the way, like Benji, Beck's pretentious and privileged ex-boyfriend, Joe removes them permanently. And with chilling logic. Each act of violence is framed in his mind as necessary, as an act of protection. Beck, on the other hand, is a layered and flawed character. She's ambitious but lost. She craves validation but fears intimacy. Through Joe's narration, we see her as both vulnerable and manipulative, open and deceptive. Joe paints her as a woman who plays games with men, who uses her sexuality as a tool, but beneath the surface is someone who simply wants to be loved and understood. And perhaps that's what Joe sees too, or perhaps that's just what he tells himself. The story tightens like a noose as Joe and Beck's relationship finally turns physical and emotional. But it's built on a foundation of lies, secrets, and surveillance. Joe constantly monitors her movements, her messages, her relationships. His paranoia grows. His possessiveness intensifies. And still, he tells himself it's love. Kepnes expertly ratchets up the tension, revealing just enough about Joe's past to hint at deeper trauma, deeper pathology. You begin to understand how Joe became this way without ever being asked to excuse it. His childhood was shaped by emotional neglect and betrayal. Past relationships were riddled with control and heartbreak. He has a history of stalking and violence that he rewrites in his own mind as romantic devotion. And that's where the real horror of 星号又星号 lies, not in the gore, but in the psychology. What makes this novel truly stand out is the way it forces the reader into uncomfortable empathy. Joe is a monster, but he's also heartbreakingly human. He's lonely, desperate to connect, and obsessed with the idea of perfect love. And while you want to scream at Beth to run, part of you keeps listening to Joe, drawn in by his voice, his vulnerability, his delusion. You start to understand how he sees the world. And then you realize that's exactly what he wants. 星号又星号 is not a conventional thriller. It's not just about suspense or murder or romance. It's about identity in the age of the internet. It's about the blurred line between public and private, between love and obsession, between affection and control. It's about how easily one person can watch another from behind a screen and convince themselves it's connection. As the novel reaches its explosive climax, Jo's control begins to unravel. Beth starts to question the reality around her. The people in her life disappear. She becomes paranoid, uncertain. And when she finally uncovers the truth about Jo, the confrontation is as shocking as it is inevitable. It's a masterclass in tension, a final unraveling that feels both intimate and catastrophic. 星号又星号 leaves you unsettled, haunted, and hungry for more. It forces you to examine your own online habits, your own secrets, your own relationships. Because if someone like Joe can learn everything about Beth with a few clicks, what does that say about any of us? This is not just a story about a stalker. It's a story about modern intimacy. About what we choose to share. About how we hide behind screens. About the dangerous power of narrative, especially when it's told by someone who truly believes every lie they spin. Caroline Kepnes has created a dark, addictive masterpiece that grips you from the first sentence and doesn't let go. 星号又星号 is unsettling and smart, disturbing and seductive. It's a story that whispers in your ear long after you close the book, daring you to look over your shoulder, check your logs, and maybe, just maybe, rethink what you post online. If you're looking for a book that gets inside your mind and doesn't leave, this is the one. Listen to the audiobook, and prepare to be captivated, terrified, and entirely unable to look away. Because once Joe starts talking to you, it's impossible not to listen.